A relationship with the right referral partner could be a game changer for any B2B company. So what if you could reverse engineer these relationships at a moment's notice? Start a podcast, invite potential referral partners to be guests on your show, and grow your referral network faster than ever. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to B2B Growth, a daily podcast for B2B leaders. We've interviewed names you've probably heard before, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, but you've probably never heard from the majority of our guests. That's because the bulk of our interviews aren't with professional speakers and authors. Most of our guests are in the trenches leading sales and marketing teams. They're implementing strategy. They're experimenting with tactics. They're building the fastest growing B2B companies in the world. My name is James Carberry. I'm the founder of Sweetfish Media, a podcast agency for B2B brands, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of this show. When we're not interviewing sales and marketing leaders, you'll hear stories from behind the scenes of our own business. We'll share the ups and downs of our journey as we attempt to take over the world. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. We're here today with Matt Heinz, president of Heinz Marketing. Matt, how's it going today, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really well. We are recording this at the Flip My Funnel conference. You just came over from getting ready for your session.
Yep.
Doing some Family Feud, right?
We will be doing account-based Family Feud.
Nice.
Sales versus marketing on
right.
both sides. It's going to be fun.
All right. So by the time you're listening to this, there will probably be some videos up on LinkedIn or YouTube on how the Family Feud goes. But you're doing Steve Harvey. You're emceeing the Family
I am.
Feud, right?
Well, if to be precise, I'm trying to channel Kenan Thompson doing Steve Harvey. So I'm going to do the SNL caricature of Steve Harvey as best I can.
Nice. All right. So let's dive in. Matt, I feel like, you and I are just meeting for the first time here today, but I've been following your stuff on LinkedIn for a while. And you had a post just yesterday about personalization and how not to do it, how maybe you can do it better. So tell me a little bit about why you think personalization is worth talking about.
Well, I think that there's, I think a lot of people in the interest of being efficient and moving quickly, just, use generalized personalization, things like, oh, I see you're president of Heinz Marketing, or I really like what you're doing at Heinz Marketing. It sounds like it's personalized because you put my company name in it, but it provides no value, right? And look, we all live in glass houses, and I think the people doing this are not doing this to be bad salespeople. They're doing this in a well-meaning way, but it comes across at best as disingenuous. So I think that, it doesn't take that much time to truly personalize a message. Steve Richard from Foresight taught me years ago to use what he calls the 3x3 method. Take up to 3 minutes to find up to 3 things about someone you think is interesting. And quite frankly, it doesn't take more than 20, 30 seconds. If you look at someone's LinkedIn bio or go to their Twitter page, and you can find something either that you have in common with them or something that is interesting that you can use as a starting point. And if you start with something like that, even if it's not related to what you're selling, it stands out. It makes it look like you've done your homework. You're more likely to get a response at that point.
So going beyond the simple personalization of, I think you noted in your post, like, I saw your profile on LinkedIn.
Yes.
That's not personalization.
That is not
right?
a personalized. Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of people that will say, listen, I'll accept your LinkedIn request as long as you personalize it. But the fact that you saw my profile, the fact that you say, hey, I'm trying to build my network, would love to connect with you. I think the bar is higher than that, right? I mean, conversely, if you see someone speak at a conference and you've never met them, if you send them an invite that says, I just saw you speak at a conference, I thought you were fantastic, I would love to follow you and learn more from you. Like, it takes no more time to write something like that. And yet that kind of personalization is usually what works.
Today's growth story is about a leading global cybersecurity company. Even though they're incredibly successful, they struggled with demand generation within an extensive contact database. To solve this problem, they worked with a partner to implement a multi-tactic program that included email, ad retargeting, and inside sales and marketing outreach activities. I hope you're sitting down for this next part because the program generated an ROI of over 500%. So what kind of partner can deliver these jaw-dropping results? MRP Prolitics. MRP Prolitics is an insights-powered account-based marketing platform with streaming predictive analytics baked into its core. Integrating multi-channel ABM execution on these insights, MRP Prolitics triggers display, email, direct mail, and global inside sales in real time, helping the largest marketing departments in the world deliver the right message to their customers at just the right time. Can MRP Prolitics get similar results for you? Probably. Find out by visiting mrpfd.com or click the link in the episode description of this interview. All right, let's get back to the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, even you can go deeper than that. You could say, I loved your point on XYZ, but just saying, I heard you speak here, or I noticed this post you had on X, as opposed to just, I saw your profile.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think, just take the time to find something a little different, a little unique about the person, and just act like a human. I mean, I think if you're sitting in front of someone, it would be kind of weird for you to say, hey, I see that you're the president of Heinz Marketing. That's kind of an awkward conversation. As opposed to say like, hey, I looked at your bio before we met and you have chickens. Like, how did that start? Like, I've always thought chickens would be interesting. Like, even though it has nothing to do with what you want to actually, the business conversation you want to have, it's an icebreaker. I mean, it's the reason why many of us will talk about the weather when we meet someone, right? It's common ground.
Right.
And then it's that banter that sort of warms up the conversation and lets you sort of pivot into something else.
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy. It seems very simple to treat social media and email, which is a human-to-human interaction, like other human interactions. Like you said, if I walked up to you at this conference and had never met and said, hey, Matt, and started a conversation, I might say, when'd you fly in or something like that. And you can do that in other forms, but we get in our heads too much, I think, sometimes in trying to personalize it digitally.
Yeah, and I think this goes not just for LinkedIn invitations, this goes for emails, this goes for voicemails. I mean, I think a lot of times you'll see a marketing team, well-meaning marketing team with the best of intentions, write voicemail scripts that they expect the sales team to use. And they've never actually spoken that voicemail out loud. Right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes you look at an email that you wrote and you say, would you actually use that in active conversation in front of someone? Would you, Mr. Marketer, would you actually leave that exact precise voicemail, or does it make you sound like a robot that is it is not a genuine person? So it's, I think, when rubber meets the road, everything always becomes more casual. It always becomes more intimate. It always becomes more personalized. And it honestly doesn't have to take more time to do that, but it always works better.
Is there a good example of someone that sent you a LinkedIn request or an email that you've seen where they did personalization really well recently?
One of my favorites from earlier this year, one of my favorites probably that stands out over the last few years, is someone sent me an email. They were a copywriter, and they were interested in doing some work for our clients. They're just looking for work from an agency. And at the bottom of the email, it said, hey, by the way, P.S., I'm going to be in Seattle in August, and I love pizza. Where should I go? And I mean, how do you not respond to that? How do you not respond? I mean, even, so like everybody's got a favorite pizza spot. And like in Seattle, we've got a couple like local chains that are sort of, really well known and really good. And then there's a place called North Lake Tavern that makes pizzas that are like 6 inches tall, and they have pictures of daiquiris. And even if you don't like daiquiris, it's kind of a fun experience. And so like you respond to that, right? And I thought it was one of the best. And when I wrote her back, I'm like, are you actually coming to Seattle, or was this just a really good boy? She said, well, I'm actually thinking about it. I'm like, okay, so that's a no, but yeah, I still
actually thinking about it. Nice.
Yeah. I actually, but still, it was one of the best things I've seen that actually sort of drove some engagement. It wasn't necessarily personalized, which was why I bring it up. It wasn't about me, but it was something different, unique, that was interesting. It was her version of talking about the weather. Instead of weather, she wanted to talk about pizza.
Right. Food's away to a lot of people's heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's okay, right?
That's all right.
Yeah.
Play with it.
Yeah. I think a lot of people look up, they scroll to the bottom of the LinkedIn profile, where'd you go to school?
Yep.
And that's not really, like, for a lot of us, it's, it could be 10, 20 more years ago, and there's really maybe not a connection there or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, you also, like, I like going to the bottom of LinkedIn profiles, because you'll see sometimes where they go to school. You'll see nonprofits they're involved with. You'll see other groups they tend to associate with. Oftentimes if you go to someone's Twitter page, even if they're tweet mostly about business, in their bio, usually it'll say something like, dog lover, pizza eater, whatever, cocktail aficionado, right? Yeah, whatever. Yeah. And so you'll have, even if it's just one of those things, it's something to key in on. If someone put in their bio that they have chickens, it's something they're proud of. It's something they want to talk about, right? It's something that it's not like, oh, how did you find out? Like if you're scrolling through their Instagram page and you call up and say like, hey, how'd your son do at the recital last night? That's creepy, right? You probably avoid that. But if they put it in a bio, it's something that's sort of public knowledge in that kind of a format, it's fair game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and people tend to get a little more personal on Twitter. That's a good spot. Go to the bio, but maybe not to the son or daughter's recital on Instagram. Yeah. I love it. All right. Well, Matt, if anybody is not already following your great content, what's the best way for them to reach out, connect with you in a personalized way, hopefully?
You can send me a personalized invite on LinkedIn, just Matt Heinz. I'm on Twitter at Heinz Marketing, just HEINZ Marketing. You can find a lot of our content, our blog posts, our best practice guides, and everything else at heinzmarketing.com.
All right. Well, Matt, thanks for being on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
There are lots of ways to build a community, and we've chosen to build the B2B growth community through this podcast. But because of the way podcasts work, it's really hard to engage with our listeners. And without engagement, it's tough to build a great community. So here's what we've decided to do. We're organizing small dinners across the country with our listeners and guests. No sales pitches, no agenda, just great conversations with like-minded people. We'll talk business, we'll talk family, we'll talk goals and dreams. We'll build friendships. So if you'd like to be a part of a B2B growth dinner in a city near you, go to b2bgrowthdinners.com. That's b2bgrowthdinners.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.